Hello and welcome to STEM Help. My name is Mr. McCall, and today we're going to talk about density. Excuse my voice. The equation for density is density equals mass divided by volume. All right. Now, today I have this equation laid out here. Density equals, I'm going to have my mass is 41.3 grams and my volume to be at 21.2 centimeters cubed. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and plug this into my calculator. Show you here again. So this is 41.3, and that is my mass divided by 21.2, and that's going to equal 1.948. So this is how I plugged it into my calculator right here. 41.3 divided by 21.2 is 1.9481. All right. So my density for this is going to equal 1.9481. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my significant figures. My significant figures have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So my answer can't go beyond 3. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. I'm going to have to go to the 3. What I'm going to do is I'm going to round this 8 to this 4 right here, which means my density is going to change to 1.95. Density equals 1.95, and it's going to end up being grams per centimeter cubed. So I don't like how I've got it all crammed in this corner right here, so we're just going to move it over again. So density D for this right here equals 1.95 grams per centimeter cubed. All right, and that's the density for that equation. Now, oftentimes in classes in school, you will have equations that are kind of flipped around, or you're only going to get partial information. And it's not going to be laid out right here where we have the mass and the volume and we need the density. Let me show you how it looks if we move this around a little bit. All right, 41.3. Here, I'm going to write right here so I don't lose everything. Mass is 41.3. Volume equals 21.2. All right, so when I erase this, all right, what would happen if I had the density and I had the volume? How would I do that? How would I try to figure out the mass? So if I have the density, let's see, we'll go with mass. Mass equals, and it's going to end up being all right, so I don't have the mass. Volume times density. All right. So mass equals volume times density. That's how we would flip this around. So if we're trying to find the mass, we're going to multiply the density and volume. All right. So let's do that. mass equals density, which is 1.95 grams times 21.2, and that is centimeters cubed because this is volume. All right, so when we multiply these together, what we are going to get is 1.95 times 21.2 equals 41.34. And this is how I plugged it into the calculator like this. 1.95 times 21.2. And that ends up with 41.34. Since we only have three significant figures, the answer actually reverts to 41.3. So mass would equal the density times the volume. Now, what if we're given the density and we're given the mass and we need to find the volume? All right. So volume will equal mass divided by density. All right. Now, these equations, I just want to point something out. Oftentimes in math, you'll have equations that are very similar to this, where you have one measurement on one side and then something divided by something else, right? So you'll have these, like density, D equals mass divided by volume. All right, when you have equations like this, just remember that whatever's on top, whatever you're dividing, you're still going to divide, even if the equation's moved around a little bit like this. You're still gonna have this, and you're going to divide it from the bottom number, and it's going to come out. Now, if you move it around the other way, if it's going from these two right here, from this to whatever's on the bottom of the equation, you're going to multiply it, and that's going to give you your answer. Oftentimes in science, you're going to be given a base question like this, and you're going to be expected to be able to move this equation around. Thankfully, math doesn't change though, so that's good. All right, so volume equals mass, which was 41.3. So let me erase all that because this is getting in the way right here. All right, 41.3 divided by density 1.95. All right, now mass is going to be in grams. Density is grams per centimeter cubed. Which that all looks sideways. It's just I messed up my file. We'll just do this again. All right. So when I plug this into my calculator, which is, sorry, I've got a window kind of glaring in. I'm sorry. 41.3 divided by 1.95. I get 21.17. Oh, move this here. So that's how I plugged it into my calculator, 41.3 divided by 1.95. I end up with 21.17. All right, so volume equals 21.17. Actually, we'll just extend it out, 21.179. All right, so that's what the volume equals. All right, since I have three significant figures, I have to round it to the third, 21.1. So I'm going to take this, so I didn't need this 9 right here. Let's go ahead and get rid of it. This 21.7 here, I will round over here, which will make this 21.2 centimeters cubed. All right. So when I move this equation around, no matter how I did it, right, I have my volume written here from the equation I did earlier when I was trying to find the density. So it's 21.2. I ended up with 21.2. When I moved the equation around and I took mass out of the equation, put mass across the equal sign. When I was done with that, that ended up being 41.3. All right. So it's just helpful to know. I mean, most of the time, density is not going to be straightforward all the time in your science class, right? They're probably going to give you some questions where they want you to move things around, where they'll give you the density and the volume and they won't give you the mass, or they'll be expecting you to figure out the volume and only give you the density and mass. And that's how you do it. That's how you move that equation around. If you find this video helpful, please subscribe and like it if you can and leave a comment. I hope you have a great day and I hope this video was very helpful.